Chase Daniel, recently retired NFL quarterback, and he has his own show. It's the Chase Daniel Show on YouTube, the YouTube channel. Thanks for joining us, Chase. Let's look at the state of these two teams last night going forward. Let me look at the Vikings at their quarterbacking position and then the Bears situation at their quarterbacking position. What would you do if you're the Vikings at that position?
Well, I mean, I think you got to keep going with Josh Dobbs. I mean, if you actually look at what he's brought to the table, he's only been there 28 days. And yes, he threw 4 interceptions, a 4-piece. I hate throwing 2 interceptions. The fact that you threw 4, listen, 2 were tipped. It happens. But, Kevin O'Connell's comments after the game were telling. We're going to evaluate the position. They're on bye week. They got Jaron Hall. They got Nick Mullins. Okay. Josh Dobbs had that magic. It looks like it's run out a little bit, and it doesn't look like he's making bad decisions. He's still learning the concepts of the offense. But I do like Nick Mullins, and I think they had Nick Mullins as a backup for a reason. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a shot to do what he does, and that's just throw for a lot of yards. You look at like the first 12 games of his career or 14 games, whatever it is, he's thrown for the most yards almost than anyone in NFL history. So he's got the talent to do it. That roster's really good. You get just Jordan Jefferson back, JJ. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. They're still in a really good spot for a wild card, but we'll see what happens.
But would you keep Kirk Cousins? Like, let's look at next season.
That's difficult. That's difficult. I think that the way it's trending and what I've heard, I think that Kevin O'Connell and Kirk Cousins have meshed pretty well together, and that they are both open to a return. Kirk will get some guaranteed contract again, and we'll all on Twitter go crazy like, oh my gosh, he just keeps getting all this money. It's insane. But I do think that
but is
it's going to be an interesting
where does he
decision.
rank, Chase? Where, like, is he good, very good, potentially great? Give me a label for Kirk Cousins, from a quarterbacking perspective.
Yeah, I think he's very good. I think that his scheme that he runs, the receivers that they've with Jordan Addison and JJ, all of them above, he needs a good supporting cast. I don't think he's a guy that can, without a really good supporting cast around you, go out and win you ball games, game after game. Okay. I do love the way he plays. He's getting older, right? That's the biggest thing.
He's 35.
But if you watch, yeah, I mean, look, dude, I'm 38. I was playing for a while too. And that's usually what time, like the middle of the career. Tom House, the guru of throwing, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, all those. He said like the best years of a quarterback's life are in his 30s. So he's still got some gas in him, but it's going to be interesting to see how it happens and what they're going to do. If that's the thing, like you got to look out there at the state of the union of the NFL and quarterbacking. It's impossible to find 32 starters that are worth their penny. So yeah. Kirk definitely is one of those. So if you're going to move on from them, you have to say to yourself, man, we have a really good plan ahead. If you want to go with a rookie, I don't know if they're going to draft really high. So it's going to be interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends back up there in Minnesota.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I know that Kevin O'Connell really likes him. But it depends on how much he's going to cost, which leads me to now with Justin Fields. Right now, you can keep him because he doesn't cost you. Then he's going to cost you, and then you have to decide, is that a franchise quarterback? I'm going to make you the Bears GM right now. What are you going to do this offseason at the quarterbacking position?
Well, right now they draft 1 and 4 if the season ended today. And if the season ended today, I would absolutely say let Justin roll another year or two. I think you pass on a Caleb Williams or a Drake May. I think, in my opinion, and this is going to be a little bit of a hot take because people don't really understand it, I think he's done enough to show that he can be successful in the National Football League, given 2 things. One, they put a supporting cast around them. Okay. If you go out there and you draft Marvin Harrison Jr. and you have Darnell Mooney and you have DJ Moore out there, that's a heck of a supporting cast around him. And if you actually run an offense that fits Justin, you look at last year. Let's go back to last year. Even before the Patriots game, that was the defining moment for me. They were running an under center play action scheme that they did in Green Bay with Getsy. That's not Justin Fields. When they switched over to an offense that actually used his strengths. Okay, he played really well the last part of last year. Let's look forward to this year. The first 3 games of the year, they're doing the exact same thing, and Justin's struggling. That's not him. He's not going to be the guy to say, hey, versus cover 2, work this side, versus cover 4, work this side. Hey, man alert beaters. No, he's a pure progression shotgun quarterback, and his feet help him out. So you have to actually put him in a position to be successful. And I think that even before Justin's injury, the last like 2 or 3 games before, he started getting on a little bit of a heater, and it's continued last week, Detroit, yesterday versus Minnesota. And look, everyone's gonna be like, well, those 2 fourth quarter fumbles. Okay. I've got so many people on Twitter, Dan, saying, oh, look, well, he's done. He had 2 fourth quarter fumbles. Well, do you want your quarterback to just roll up in a ball after he fumbles the ball? Or do you want him to do exactly what Justin did, is lead him down the field for a victory? That's what I want. So in my opinion, it showed me more about who Justin is, that 2-minute drive.
All right. Write that down. Chase says that if he was running the Bears, that he would not take Caleb Williams or Drake May. You can see Chase, the Chase Daniels Show on YouTube channel. All right. Should Dak Prescott be involved in the MVP conversation here? Or is it a foregone conclusion of who's going to win?
Yeah, I mean, no, I think absolutely should be, especially because if you go to my show and if you go to my YouTube show, like I break down Dak almost every week because he's playing at an unbelievable level. And a lot of people don't understand it, what he's doing. And look, Mike McCarthy got a lot of crap about when he fired Kellen Moore. I mean, let's just make sure that it was a firing. He let him go because Kellen Moore was top 5 offensive staff, game plan, whatever, in the National Football League the entire time he was in Dallas. So why did he fire him? He wanted to run the damn ball, according to Mike. Well, they haven't run the ball at all. They're throwing it more than ever. And after the 49ers game in Dak, that whole offense changed. It changed completely. And they weren't as static as anymore. They're moving the pocket. They're motioning, they're shifting, they're doing good things. And CeeDee Lamb's come on as a true number 1 receiver. And you look week in and week out. I mean, Dak's stats in the last 5 games are so telling to me. So if you're the quarterback of America's team and you're the Cowboys, you should absolutely, if you're in the playoff hunt, be in the running for the MVP, most valuable player. I think without Dak right now, the Cowboys are a 4 or 5 win team.
But Jalen Hurts is the MVP right now?
I mean, it's like Jordan in his prime, man. Like Jalen never gets too high with the high or too low with the lows. I mean, you saw him after Jake Elliott nailed the 59-yarder. He was like, okay, let's go win the game. Like, I love quarterbacks like that. He's a perfect fit for Philly.
Yeah, but wait, hold on, Chase. If Jay Cutler did that, we would crush him. When he did that, we crushed him. He's like, he doesn't care. He's lethargic. I like that. Man, look at Jalen. Nothing bothers him.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's not Jay Cutler. It's Jalen Hurts, and it's Philly. And that's what Philly wants. They want people to be like, yeah, like got that swagger about them. Okay. And honestly, Jalen's been doing this on a bum knee. His knee is more hurt than a lot of people think. And the fact that he's able to still run the ball, still gut it out and play. I mean, he's becoming like a hero right now in Philly. I can't imagine if they win a Super Bowl, what they're going to do with Jalen Hurts, probably build him a statue.
Yeah. I've maintained this for years, that it doesn't seem like the Bills have an offensive strategy or game plan. It feels like their game plan is, hey, Josh, help us out here. And I'm sure I'm oversimplifying it here, but am I oversimplifying it by a lot?
Well, listen, when I talk about the Bills, the whole story is Josh Allen. And the whole story for me is the turnovers. Since 2018, he's led the NFL in turnovers, and it's not even close in second place. And that's the big issue. I didn't agree with the firing of Ken Dorsey because the issue with the Buffalo Bills offense is not the fact that they're not really good in yards or first downs or points, because they're top 10 and all that. It's the turnovers. How are you going to put it on a coach? Okay, if your quarterback and your offense and your running backs are turning the ball over, okay? Look, I get it. McDermott had to make a move. He made a move. Joe Brady, you go back to Joe Brady and what he's been able to do. He got fired midway through the season in Carolina, if you don't remember, if you forgot. Yeah. And then he's actually gotten the last 2 games. I thought that what he's done is he's gotten back to who Josh Allen is at its core. Josh Allen is not a let's go through 4 reads, throw it to. He's a number one, number two, take off. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're giving Josh Allen half-field reads. When it's not there, he takes off. And if you look at the 2-minute drive, this was really telling. Okay. If you look at the 2-minute drive to take the lead against Philly, there were 10 plays in that drive. They went run, 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 screen, play action, run, run, RPO. Like, that's what it is. To me, that's great play calling, because you're not putting it all on Josh to have to do 5 and 7-step dropbacks every play down the field. So I do think right now they're running the football at a really, really high rate, and that's going to protect Josh from himself, which sometimes he needs protecting from.
Let's look at the Chargers. Is this on the coach? Is this on the quarterback? Like, if you were going to lay blame and you had to pick one.
Yeah. I mean, if I had to pick one, it's on the coach. I don't necessarily think Justin is playing bad ball. Look, a lot of people are like, they want to bring up the 2-minute drives and how many sacks he's doing. And that's fair. But he's in a position almost every single week because of the defense to be able to do that. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, okay, that's not the case. In my opinion, look, they went out and almost beat like probably the top team in the NFL in the Ravens at home. Okay. It's just not working for them this season. They're just not really good in tight score games, 1-score games. I think they're like 0-4, 0-5 this year. So that's the issue. And quite honestly, they're running out of time. I mean, they're running out of time. Staley's running out of time. I love Staley as a head coach. I thought he was excellent. The team actually really loves him. I know people are mixed on him that aren't inside that locker room, but at the end of the day, they pay Justin a lot of money. Justin's going to be that quarterback for the foreseeable future, if not for his entire career, based on what he's shown. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do in the next few weeks, if they can get back into playoff contention at all. Because in my opinion, if they don't, then I just don't know if Staley survives the season.
Yeah, I don't think he does. I agree with you on that. And it's not personal. He went to Dayton. I'm a Dayton grad. Like, my job is to put personal to the side, or at least the best that I can. Tom Brady talked about, this is checkers, not chess anymore in the NFL. He's had some things to say about the quality of play. Tom's not that far removed, from playing to get to the point where it's get off my lawn, Tom Brady. Your reaction to what Brady's been saying?
Well, I liked what Alex Smith said on NFL Countdown or whatever. He said, "Hey, I disagree with Brady," and I would tend to agree with that. Look, I think Brady, he's a different animal, and anytime that Brady says something, you got to take it. I take it pretty seriously. And so when I heard that, it was interesting, and I get what he's trying to say. I think what he's trying to say is like, hey, the game's gotten soft. No defenders are allowed to hit the quarterback anymore. All this stuff about what's PI, what's roughing the passer, all this stuff. So I do think that this game has really turned into an offensive game, because what sells? Points. Points sell. Even though this year defense is at an all-time high in the last 10 years, the average point score per game is like 18 or 19. It's the lowest it's been in like 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's interesting what he said, and I get it. And the fact is, like, that interview told me like he still wants to be playing. Like, he still has that competitive fire, and quite honestly, he probably still could.
Yeah, but Tom benefited from these rules. They changed the rules in part because of Tom Brady. Right?
He's trying to get his broadcasting career with Fox.
You think that's what he's doing?
Started.
Okay.
With his Let's Go podcast, I listen to it. I think it's excellent. But I mean, look, you can say whatever you want in the media as long as you have somewhat of an opinion, and you're good. Like, it just doesn't matter.
Well, he's the GOAT. So that it always comes back to, but he's the GOAT. Even though
but he's the GOAT.
Yeah, the game is soft, checkers to chess.
Funny.
Could you learn something from Brady as his backup? As many years as you were in the league, and you were with, Drew Brees and Sean Payton, and what could Brady teach you that nobody else could teach you?
I mean, I've backed up some pretty good quarterbacks, Brees, Alex Smith, and I think what's interesting to me, because I'm obviously friends with Blaine Gabbert, and Blaine backed him up in Tampa for a few years, and Blaine was, because I picked his brain. We were back in Mizzouga, and I was like, dude, Blaine, because we're pretty close. I was like, hey, how is it backing up Brady, man? He's like, dude, it is awesome. Like he's a cool dude. Like he does like, and that was pretty cool to me is like, like Brady is this big time celebrity, way bigger than football. And he said he's just a normal guy. And that's what I enjoy. Like, I don't like, and I've been around some people, and I'm not going to name names, but there's some people that just think that they're just all high and mighty and that it doesn't. But like he said, he's very just like, he's very content. He's very cool, very down to earth. But I think with what Brady would teach you is like, I want to know, like, obviously, like the football X's and O's are cool, but like, there's all these little things like how he doctors up the football. I'm not talking about Deflategate, but there's this mud. There's this mud
Wait a
on the
minute.
football.
Hold on here. Here we
No,
go.
I'm serious.
We got
because
Mudgate.
Every single quarterback.
We got
Mudgate, yeah.
Mudgate.
It's this Mississippi mud, and he has all.
Is this
like,
what they put on baseballs?
Yes, and when I used to play them, the footballs are such like this like golden brown color, so sick. Every quarterback has this mud, and it's legal. You can do it, but his were just like extra shiny, and it was that Tom Brady effect on it. So like that, or like how he like makes sure that like he's crazy about his like palm, on his forearm to make sure it's not sweaty when you're throwing the football. And he has this like this stuff that he does. He stuffs this a towel down his center's butt. Like all this stuff is so interesting to me. That's what I would want to know, because I know for a fact there's so many more things like that.
Wait, what's that matter if the back of your right hand is dry or not?
Yeah, so anything at all, like if you're sweating, that's why Brady used to always wear sleeves, and he always had to have a hand muff on him. When you're sweating, the sweat drips down and gets onto your palm, okay? And when it's on your palm, it then becomes on your pinky. And when you're throwing, I'm telling you right now, it's awful. So he always had a towel. He was crazy about that. And that's one thing Blaine told me, like, hey, there's this like some type of thing he puts on it. And then like, it's this whole routine. Those are the little bitty things that make quarterbacks great that they think about, that I would have loved to be his backup.
Okay, explain this to me. And I've mentioned this on the show before. When Brady and Deflategate, and do I think that somebody deflated the ball? Yes. And I have no problem with it. It was lying to the commissioner. Aaron Rodgers came on the show years ago, and he said, I overinflate the ball. And no one said a thing.
Yeah.
Why have a rule? Why have a rule where you get to use the football and then I get to use my football? Who cares?
Yeah, I do think it's interesting. I've never once in my 14 years playing, or even this year covering, heard of a quarterback who overinflates the ball. Like that to me is crazy. Like obviously, like there is an advantage to underinflating a ball because it's easier to throw. And it's like by 1 or 2 PSIs. It's not that crazy. So it is a little bit weird that you have this like 12.5 to 13.5 PSI that the ball has to be within. And I've always enjoyed, if you don't have huge hands, like underinflate the ball. So I get it, but I don't necessarily think that maybe in cold weather games, and that's what's so crazy about Aaron Rodgers, he liked to overinflate it because the ball expands no matter what in cold weather. And so he would underinflate it. And I guarantee you, if they tested those balls in Deflategate during the middle of those really cold games, they would be within the 12.5 to 13.5 PSI range because it's freezing cold in all those games he's playing in January and February. So it's interesting to me on that with the Aaron Rodgers thing for sure.
Always great to have you on, Chase. I look forward to next time, and good luck with the YouTube channel.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
That's Chase Daniel, the Chase Daniel Show on YouTube channel. I like how Chase goes, whenever I mention the Cowboys and break down the Cowboys, my numbers go through the roof, and I go, yeah. Yeah. Welcome to the analytics here.